California Supreme Court has ordered that Sheriff of Riverside County, Chad Bianco's election probe, basically the seizing of 650,000 ballots out of Riverside County, must stop. My name is Dina Doll with the MeidasTouch Network. Let's get into this. As we know, we saw the seizing of ballots in California, in Arizona, but here in California, the Riverside County Sheriff, who is also running to become the next governor of California, most likely not a coincidence, just another political ploy, copying it after Trump, I am sure. So this is what is going on. He is talking about the ballots that were cast in the special election in 2025. That was the California redistricting election. He is the sheriff. He's in charge of the sheriff department of Riverside County. So he issued or requested a subpoena for these ballots, saying that a crime was occurring, a felony was occurring. This was the basis of the subpoena, because that was also just released. News networks asked for the unsealing of those warrants, and this was how he got his hands on those ballots.
Riverside County election officials are standing by their vote count. That's all after Riverside Sheriff Chad Bianco seized 650,000 ballots from the 2025 election over allegations of fraud.
He made those claims in a news conference on Friday, and his allegations are now getting attention nationwide. NBC4's Christian Caceres covers the Inland Empire, gives us an update now on the sheriff's plans to recount those votes.
As voters in Riverside County are gearing up for the primary elections on June 2nd, the sheriff wants to verify the vote count from last year's special election, seizing more than 650,000 ballots from the election officials.
I hope we can all agree there is no acceptable error, small or large, in our elections.
On Friday, Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco, who is currently running in the California governor's race, claimed an independent audit by a group of volunteers showed thousands of unaccounted votes. And now the department is investigating the alleged voter fraud.
An audit of those logs received from the Riverside County Registrar of Voters allegedly shows 611,428 ballots were cast, but 657,322 votes were reported and certified to the Secretary of State. That is a difference of 45,896 votes.
Riverside County's registrar told the county's Board of Supervisors during last month that they've met with the advocates who completed the audit repeatedly about their concerns. He said that the citizens group was using imprecise handwritten records of their audit, which election officials don't use when counting ballots. NBC4 has been given access inside the county's registrar of voters in the past to see firsthand how the process works. Today, they declined to comment on the sheriff's investigation, but said the county and the registrar of voters will continue to comply with all lawful court orders and with all legal obligations applicable to election materials and election administrations.
We don't know what the discrepancy is. Is it human error? Is it the machine error? Were the humans right in the number of ballots that came in and the machine counted differently? It is impossible for us to know unless we do an investigation.
There's still no word on when the count will begin or if it will be completed before the June 2nd primary election. In Riverside, Christian Caceres, NBC4 News.
Now, where did he get the basis for that? Well, he got it from this private organization, yet another one of these who has over the years kind of cried wolf when there wasn't any actual election fraud. This one is called the Riverside Election Integrity Team. According to this group, they said that there was 45,800 ballots, that there was discrepancy. Basically, that many more ballots were received than were supposed to be receiving. Huge, like a huge number. Honestly, if this were actually true, of course. As you know, fraud is very little, not that it doesn't occur, but we're talking about the tens or if anything, just the hundreds. He used their assertion, their allegation that this happened, despite the fact that Riverside County Registrar for Elections, the government organization that is in charge of running the elections in Riverside County, said that the reason why they had that number was because they were using the raw data wrong. And they said that the actual discrepancy was 103. So 103 versus 45,000. Here's the thing. Chad Bianco, as the sheriff, is an elected person. And here he is, instead of looking to what the other people in his county, either elected or appointed, who have served, this is their role, instead of taking their expertise and information, he's going outside because, of course, that is where he wants to go. Now, he is running for governor, as I said, and he is very extreme. He was a member of the Oathkeepers back in 2014. And in October of 2021, so after the insurrection, he told a news organization that basically there were a few bad apples in the Oathkeepers, but the organization itself was good. This was after January 6th. So here he is, a former Oathkeeper. He is also a member and a believer in the organization of the constitutional sheriff. Now, I don't know if you have heard about this, but some people believe this is perhaps the most dangerous theory in our country. And of course, it is this theory is bought by the Oathkeepers and other militia right-wing groups, which is they believe that the sheriff across the county, the sheriff, because that person is elected and because of our separation of state and federal, and where if the federal government, cannot impose certain things on a state and vice versa, right? We have the separation. Well, they believe because a sheriff is elected that they actually have more authority than any state or federal official. They believe that they are in charge and that they can ignore the law in order to uphold the Constitution. Of course, their interpretation of the Constitution, which, as we know, is radically different than most people's interpretation of the Constitution. So this man, who is the sheriff, who thinks the sheriff is more important, has more power, frankly, than other state and federal officials, putting forward in this warrant information from this radical group, who of course is calling themselves election integrity, rather than his fellow county employees whose job it is, all during his campaign for governor's office, taking basically a page out of Trump's book, trying to use this for his campaign.
Smalls cat food is protein-packed recipes made with preservative-free ingredients you'd find in your fridge, and it's delivered right to your door. That's why Cats.com named Smalls their best overall cat food. Now, I tried to get my cat in this ad because every time I turn on the camera, she usually always tries to get in the view. I always say I think she's trying to go viral, but you know how cats are. The minute you want them to do something, they do the exact opposite. Now, starting with Smalls is easy. Just share info about your cat's diet, health, and food preferences. Then Smalls puts together a personalized sampler for your cat. No more picking between random brands at the store. Smalls has the right food to satisfy any cat's craving. Still not a believer in Smalls? Forbes ranked Smalls the best overall cat food, while BuzzFeed said, my cats went completely ballistic for this stuff. For me, I have to also give my cat medicine, and when I put it on top of Smalls, she ate it right up. After switching to Smalls, 88% of cat owners reported overall health improvements. That's a big deal. And the team at Smalls is so confident your cat will love their product, then you could try it risk-free. That means they will refund you if your cat won't eat their food. So make 2026 your cat's healthiest year yet. For a limited time, because you are a MeidasTouch listener, get 60% off your first order plus free shipping when you head to smalls.com/MeidasTouch. One last time, that's 60% off your first order plus free shipping when you head to smalls.com/MeidasTouch.
Well, thankfully, California has a Democrat in Attorney General's office, Rob Bonta, who went to court to stop it. Even after Rob Bonta, first, Bianco took 1,000 boxes. Then Bonta ordered him to stop as the state's Attorney General. He ignored it. Bianco ignored it, took another about 400 650 boxes. Now the California Supreme Court has stepped in and ordered Bianco to stop, saying that they needed to look at whether or not that there's even a legitimate reason for this election thing before you start stealing ballots. And not only is this disturbing, because obviously our elections should be seen fair and free, and a sheriff shouldn't just be able to get them, especially ones who believes that they're above every other official in our country. But here he is running and now has his hands on ballots and knows how people voted and who they are and where they lived. I mean, the amount of information he frankly just got, if he wanted to use it for his campaign, is disturbing, anti-Democrat. And the fact is, Riverside County is very red. It is, if he's trying to seize those ballots in order for it to help something with the redistricting, it's not going to come out of Riverside County. And certainly 45,000. I mean, that initiative overwhelmingly, 1 to 45,000 isn't even helpful. But it could perhaps help his governor's race, because as we know, the governor's race is tight, very tight. Republicans way up there because of the number of Democrats in the race. And the most disturbing thing about that, for me as a California resident, is that we have not had one debate. Rusty Hicks, the head of the California Democratic Party, was trying to urge some of the candidates on the Democratic side to get out. But to me, we should be scheduling debate after debate after debate, because a race like this should be won or lost based on what your plans are for the state and what the residents think of it. But the Republicans are here taking advantage of the number of people in the race. Certainly, those amount of ballots could perhaps make a difference when you see the polling so incredibly tight. Just wanted to get this report out. Be sure to subscribe to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel if you haven't already. Subscribe to the Mistrial podcast. Check out the description of our sponsors in the link below. So grateful for our sponsors. They don't censor what I have to say in this critical time for our democracy.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.